Seems like the dust has just barely settled from the last episode, and we're back on your screens with another FineScale Modeler Weekly.
That's right, and we have some fantastic kits to show you.
Kicking off with a big one, Trumpeter's 1/16 scale SdKfz 251 Ausf D.
This workhorse half-track served many roles in the German armed forces in World War II.
While not the biggest vehicle of the war, it will be impressive in this scale, with the body measuring about 15 inches. Most of it comes in the upper and lower halves with molded surface detail, but the front fenders and sides and their rear counterparts with stowage boxes, as well as the driver's plate, nose, and rear doors are separate. The engine hatches are also separate, but no motor is included.
Half-track running gear is always crucial, and there's plenty here, including well-molded road wheels with separate tires, road wheel arms, and drive sprockets, with multi-part individual link tracks at the back, and two-part wheels with rubber tires for the leaf spring front suspension.
This open-top vehicle is on full display with the full-length floor, dashboard, troop benches and stowage bins, crew seats, gun racks, and mounts for a pair of MG-42 machine guns, including a gun shield at the front. There are even a few details under the floor, including a transmission, battery, fuel, and oil tanks.
Clear plastic supplies vision blocks and an optional headlight. A pair of photo-etched metal frets provide wheel rims, tie-downs, brackets, and gun sights.
In addition to dashboard gauges, decals and color diagrams show markings for 6 half-tracks. A 5th Panzer Division vehicle in Warsaw in 1944, one in late war camo in Western Europe in 1944, another 5th Panzer Division carrier in East Prussia in 1945, Panzer Grenadier Regiment 25 half-track in Normandy in 1944, a weathered Eastern Front vehicle in winter 1943, and a 3rd 5th Panzer Division half-track on the Eastern Front in 1944.
This kit represents a lot of plastic, but it looks like it could be a fun build.
If you like German half-tracks, especially this one, well, and if you've got the room, this kit's for you. A year ago, when NASA launched Artemis I on its unmanned mission to the moon and back, we figured it wouldn't take long for a new kit to arrive.
And here it is from AMT in 1/200th scale, Artemis I Space Launch System rocket topped by the Orion Crew spacecraft.
This matches the scale of AMT's other spacecraft kits.
Rockets are typically simple shapes, and the kit comprises 38 parts, including the stand.
The Orion spacecraft section is molded in halves with the launch abort system, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, and the launch vehicle stage adapter. The core stage, basically fuel tanks, builds from halves with a bottom cap engine section for the 4 RS-25 engines.
A pair of boosters attached to either side with separate caps and nozzles.
A 4-piece stand with a nicely molded Artemis program logo finishes the project.
Decals provide tracking markings, Artemis, NASA, and European Space Agency logos, and other details.
So the kit is nicely engineered. Everything fits pretty well together. The key is going to be in the painting. And it just so happens that in the March-April issue of FineScale Modeler magazine, we're going to have a story about doing just that.
Osprey sent FSM a few books we thought you'd like to see.
First up, number 151 in the long-running combat aircraft series, Harrier GR 7/9 units in combat. The 96-page softcover details Royal Air Force Harrier deployments in northern Iraq and Belize, Bosnia and Kosovo, the Iraq War, and Afghanistan, with good photos and a series of color profiles.
Number 132 in the Duel series pits the Valentine infantry tank against the Panzer III in North Africa. Over 80 pages, the softcover compares the development of the British Valentine and the German Panzer III, including strategic and technical situations, examines battles between the vehicles, and assesses outcomes and the aftermath.
The next 2 books are part of the newer Dogfight series, starting with F4F Wildcat, South Pacific 1942-43. Using scores of photos and color diagrams, the 80-page book traces the Wildcat's development and combat in places like Guadalcanal and the Battle of Santa Cruz.
The other dogfight book is A6M2/3, Zero Sen, New Guinea and the Solomons, 1942. Like the Wildcat book, it covers the Zero's deployment, development, and combat operations in Rabaul, New Guinea, Northern Australia, and Guadalcanal.
Plenty of good info here for many a modeling project.
Finally, we have a kit that several FSM reviewers, notably Andy Keys, are excited about.
It's Magic Factory's 1/48 scale Corsair. This dual combo kit allows you to build an F4U-1A and an F4U-2.
The kit features nice surface detail with recessed panel lines and rivets. Sections of the fuselage that cross the center seam are supplied as insets, eliminating sanding and rescribing panel lines in those spots. Cloth covering on the control surfaces and outer wings matches the representation on the big Tamiya 1/32 scale F4U kits. The one-piece lower wing will set alignment easily, and there's a heavy wing spar as well. For the second aircraft, whichever one you decide to do this with, another set of wings and wing spar will pose the wings folded. Braces are included. Optional parts allow the flaps to be posed up or drooped, and the cowl flaps on the separate cowl to be posed open or closed.
Well appointed, the engine has separate manifolds and reduction gear covers. Weighted tires with optional tread patterns cap the fine gear legs. In addition to frames and the firewall, cockpit detail includes the seat, side consoles and controls, and the instrument panel, which can be painted or detailed with decals. Optional parts account for differences between the F4U-1A and the Dash 2, the night fighter built on existing Dash 1 aircraft. Note the wingtip radome, with the birdcage canopy. Clear parts include the window for the floor, armored windshields for both canopy types, lights, and the gun sight. Masks are provided. A bomb or fuel tank can be fitted to the belly. Photo-etched brass gives seat belts and a couple of brackets.
In addition to instruments and stencils, the crowded cartograph decal sheet gives markings for 4 Corsairs. An F4U-1A flown by Lieutenant Ira Cassius Kepford, the top ace of VF-17 Jolly Rogers at Bougainville in early 1944, a Marine F4U-1A from VMFA 321 Hells Angels aboard USS Kwajalein in July 1944, an F4U-2 from VFN 101 aboard USS Enterprise, and another F4U-2 named Midnight Cocktail that shot down a G4M Betty over Saipan in April 1944.
The options in this kit make it one to watch.
Look for reviews of it, along with the half-track and Artemis at FineScale.com.
Which is your place to go for all sorts of scale modeling advice, like At the Workbench videos, scale modeling basics videos,
and snapshots and how-tos.
FineScale Modeler Weekly, brought to you by HobbyZone USA, your source for hobby storage solutions, hard-to-find hobby tools, and aftermarket modeling needs. A few weeks back, I was attending the Auto Modelers Group of Milwaukee meeting, and one of the members, they brought in an airbrush kit that they had picked up online for about $40. And they were going on and on about the value of this kit, where it had an airbrush, air hose, and a bunch of other ancillary products. And I got looking at it and I thought, this might be something good to look at for beginners, or maybe, like many of you, people who are familiar with airbrushes, use airbrushes, but are looking for another one to put in the drawer. So I went out and I picked up a Neoeco airbrush kit, and let's take a look at what you get inside. So what do you get with the Neoeco airbrush kit? Well, we take off that slip cover, and, well, there's a nice textured black box with some foil on it that says Neoeco. That makes sense. It's a nice box, actually. If you've seen boxes from some other companies, I mean, heck, this could be half the cost right here. Let's keep going. On top, you're gonna get an advert card where if you wanna go visit their website, you can do that, and an instruction book. Now, one of the first indicators of quality control is gonna be just spelling. If you are one of those people who are apt to just tossing the instruction book without actually looking through it, continue on to the rest of the package unfazed. The book is actually one of the more comprehensive instruction books that I've seen, giving you even a nice troubleshooting section with photos and ways that you might overcome the troubles that you might encounter while airbrushing. Let's continue on. So the main attraction here is obviously the dual action Neoeco airbrush. On this particular model, I purchased an airbrush with a 9cc chrome cup. You can purchase them with a red anodized or a black anodized cup. You know, the fashion statement that either of those make, I could care less about. However, it also comes with two other cups, these plastic cups here. One is a 20cc and the other is a 40cc for those really big projects. Installed in the airbrush is a 0.3 millimeter nozzle with a matching 0.3 millimeter needle. It also supplies you with a 0.5 millimeter nozzle and a 0.2 millimeter nozzle with matching needles. Now, one thing that I did notice is that while it does give you storage options for the 0.5 and 0.2 millimeter nozzles, it doesn't give you a storage option for the 0.3. Instead, there is this cap for the front end here where that can be swapped out for the one that's on there. And obviously you can store that in here. And, you know, just thinking ahead a little bit, it would be nice to have a 0.3 cup, because while I've been called smart all of my life, I also regularly forget where I have left my wallet. I'll have to look for that later. In any case, you can see where swapping these out and then putting them in, well, I don't know, a vial that's labeled for something else could get confusing after a certain point. You also get a moisture trap, a quick release coupler, a 6-foot air hose, a little eyedropper, cleaning tools, and a reamer. That's pretty nice. Consider this, a quick release coupler like this one, that can run you $7 to $15 depending on who you're picking it up from. That's just coming in this kit, 7 to 15 bucks. Well, remember, I only paid about a little bit more than 42 with tax and shipping. Moisture trap. Depending on who you're buying a moisture trap from, an inline, that can cost you up to $25. That's a pretty good value. And we aren't even yet, I mean, here's the hose, but we aren't even really yet talking about the cost of the airbrush itself. By the time you get to the airbrush, this is really looking like a pretty good deal. There are a couple of features that I want to point out I find particularly nice about this airbrush, especially for beginners. First is this adjustment knob back here, or as Aaron has pointed out to me, he's heard them called limiters. What it does is you can tighten or loosen this knob, and it then limits the throw on the trigger, how far back you can pull it. I am a lazy airbrusher. Many of you probably are not, but what I like to do is be able to find out where exactly I'm getting the kind of paint flow that I want, and then use this adjustment knob, turn it, and then I know all I gotta do is just pull back to that point. The adjustment knob then takes all the thinking out, and all I have to do is throw on paint. Another thing that I like is this MAC valve up here. Now, what this allows you to do is, instead of adjusting your air pressure at the source, you can go ahead and adjust airflow right here on the brush. So you get your air pressure to where you want it, and then you can fine tune right here on the brush. And that's a nice thing to have available to beginners, just to get them used to it. And it's usually something that you find on more thoughtful or high-end airbrushes, not necessarily airbrushes meant for beginners. The last thing that I really want to point out is that there's flexibility and some room to grow with this airbrush. It already provides you with a 0.2, a 0.3, and a 0.5 millimeter nozzle and a matching needle. That means that you can get a full range of options from painting really small, fine details to really throwing paint out there. That's just something that you don't see with neophyte airbrushes. So that's some nice thinking on Neoeco's part. Now, while those are nice, there are a couple of, I wouldn't say problems, but, you know, points of concern. The first is that just the overall construction to me feels a bit, shall we say, loose. Almost like the parts, they fit together, but were they meant to fit together with each other into this airbrush? I can't say one way or the other. But for instance, when you pull back on the trigger, this needle nut here, it rotates. And is it going to keep rotating or continue to twist all the way around? Well, I don't think so, but then again, maybe it will. Also, up here in the front, the threaded paint cup has a very deep paint well that it fits into, and that well is threaded all the way down. There aren't nearly as many threads on the paint cup as there are in the well, so those threads will not be filled, and because it is so deep, it's going to be a bit of a pain to clean. While we're on the subject of threads, I'm not a big fan of them as I move along in life. They're just a pain to clean. Now, while this needle cap up here is really nice, you know, and it'll allow you to paint without necessarily creating vortices, there is another needle cap that's provided, a more classical shaped needle cap that's provided in the kit as well. But it too, well, it's threaded and it comes off. And then I'm just going to loosen this up so I can get that needle all the way back. You can take this off. Rather than a self-centering nozzle, you have a threaded nozzle here as well. Now, this is typical of airbrushes, but you're seeing more and more the high-end airbrushes are going toward this unthreaded self-centering nozzle, and it just would have been nice if that's what had been provided here. Still, overall, it seems to be a pretty good value. One last thing, this tensioner is supposed to adjust and put a different sort of tension on the trigger. Go one way and it should be tighter, go the other way and it should be looser. Or is it go one way and it's going to be looser and go the other way and it's tighter? I can't really discern a difference between one way or the other. It just seems that the tension on the trigger is the same the entire time. But all of this is superfluous if it doesn't actually paint. So let's go do some painting. Let's just see what we got here right now. Just get used to the pull. Well, it throws paint.
It does. It looks pretty smooth.
So it throws paint. Surprise, surprise. No, not really. Couple of things that I do want to point out. The trigger pull on it took some getting used to, and while I didn't go through each of the nozzles, I just wanted to show that it does actually throw the paint, and that there's, you know, stuff that you can do to learn how to use it. As suspected, this is a bit of a bear to clean out. And then something else that I didn't really notice until we were in there painting is that the bottom of this paint cup is flat. And that's strange to me. Usually they're rounded, so they go basically all the way to the bottom of that well, or at least give you access to the needle at the bottom of the well. What this does, though, is it creates a throat there at the bottom of that paint cup that is not particularly accessible to Q-tips, and you're going to need either the brushes that come in the kit or pipe cleaners to get that throat good and clean. Overall, though, I'll have to say that the Neoeco kit, while it does have some things that aren't top-notch, it does have an airbrush that works. And for $40, I can't really complain too much about it, especially with all of the other things that come in the kit. The one thing I will tell you is that when I tried to hook this up to the Iwata hose that we had in the workshop, it didn't connect to it. Now that could just be the threads on this one, or it could be a bigger issue. However, the hose that came in the kit did hook up to the airbrush just fine. If you're going to use the Quick Connect or the moisture trap, connect the moisture trap to the hose, the Quick Connect to the moisture trap, and then the connector to the airbrush. That would be the proper order to connect those things. Try to swap that around and it's not going to work for you. Overall, though, for $40, I can see that this might not be so bad to at least have around in case something happens to one of your favorite airbrushes. BAMM is officially over.
It is.
But we still have one more video besides this one. That's coming, and that has to do with the winners for the BAMM online contest.
Right.
However, we wanted to talk about a make and take that a couple of local clubs here, clubs local to the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area, put on at a hobby town.
Yep. The Hobby Town in West Allis hosted it on the 18th.
The 18th?
November. And it was the Richard I. Bong chapter, IPMS chapter, and then the Auto Modelers group, which you actually referenced not too long ago.
Yes. So what they did is they organized a make and take on a Saturday morning where everybody was going to come in and build Gundam kits. And it was an absolute blast. And we wanted to share that with you because it's great to see people who are new to the hobby come in and find out and realize just how fun modeling can be. So,
let's roll the tape.
Let's see it.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. My favorite part was just finding all the different pieces on the trees and putting them together.
You ever built a model before? No.
I haven't, no. It's my first one.
Awesome.
We saw the event on Facebook. This is cool.
So is this the first one that you've done? What do you like best about it?
I like that it has guns
You
and a shield.
and a shield.
Yeah, and I also like how all the parts are movable and it doesn't just stand there. Yeah. And you can actually move it and play with it.
Okay. Would you build another one?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. What do you say, Beth?
Thank you.
Would you do this again? Would you build another one of these? So is this the first model you built?
I built Pokemon animals.
You build Pokemon models? Yeah. So is this like more complicated than what you're used to? Did you like it? So what do you think?
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
Is it the first one you built?
No,
No?
I built a lot of World War II planes.
Did you have fun building it? Yeah. What do you like best about it? You don't know? No? So you're gonna take it home. What are you gonna do with them?
Play with it.
You're gonna play with them. Very cool. So is this first gun to be built? No. That was for him. That is so cool. Did you have fun building it?
And I got to put on stickers, but at least we got to make it. Look at
So many smiles.
It was great. We really need to thank the people who came to the Make and Take. Thank you all so much for coming down and being part of that event. It was so much fun, and it was great to see, your kids. Some were adults who came down and built models for the first time. That was just great. Also, thanks so much to Chris Cortez, who's the president of the Bong chapter of the IPMS, for helping put that together.
As well as Tom Nowak and Mike
the
Lessig
and the team over at AMG,
Yep.
the Auto Modelers Group,
for putting their contribution to it together.
and coming down. Mike Lessig was from the Auto Modelers Group. He was there to help people put together kits,
Yep.
and then of course them inviting us to be part of that was that was an absolute treat, and we're lucky that we were in the area to be able to be part of that Make and Take. That was just excellent all the way around.
Yep, and thanks also to Tony, the proprietor of the Hobby Town
In West Allis.
In West Allis. He was very gracious, managed to organize the kits for us, gave us the space to work in, and he seemed really enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, that Hobby Town has a nice area for putting together, where they can host groups to come in, and I know a lot of the local modeling groups go back there, and they'll come in on weekends and do some stuff there. So it was great that he was able to share that space with the Make and Take. So thank you to everybody, and thank you for coming back and watching.
And we'll see you guys next time.
See you later. Seems like the dust has just settled from... While not the biggest.
Are you a vampire?
What? We can only screw it up. We're only burning electrons. Why? Well, let's try that again. Because I'm already off the rails. This is... upside down. Diane, look into the mat.
Okay.
It's all up to Kendra now. No pressure. Don't screw it up. Why aren't you saying anything?
Because you're talking.
You're lying.